How's it going, everybody? My name is Chase Keep and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about minimalism mistakes that you need to avoid, whether you are just getting started on your minimalist journey or even if you've been practicing minimalism habits for years. From my experience, all four of these mistakes are quite common in the minimalist community, but they're also very easy to avoid if you know what to look for. And by the end of this video, you guys are going to know exactly what these 4 minimalist mistakes are and also how you can avoid each and every single one of them. And that's honestly my goal for this video. If I can help anybody out there avoid even just one of these 4 mistakes, I would consider that an absolute success. But with that, let's jump straight into this video, starting with the very first of these 4 minimalist mistakes that I'm going to be talking about today. The first minimalist mistake that I'm going to be talking about today is actually decluttering too soon. If you have any experience with minimalism or you've done some research into minimalism before, then I'm positive that you have heard about decluttering. Decluttering is one of the most prominent topics of discussion within minimalism. Even here on YouTube, if you search up minimalism, you will find millions of videos about people decluttering their homes. And honestly, it is probably one of the most synonymous terms with minimalism. And because of that, a lot of people think that the first thing they need to do in order to start becoming a minimalist is immediately declutter everything that they own. And that is exactly the mistake that I think everybody should actually try to avoid, especially when they are just starting out with minimalism. Despite everything that you might see on YouTube or see online when you search up minimalism and decluttering, you don't actually need to throw everything away right away. A lot of people, especially those who are just getting into minimalism for the first time, put a lot of pressure on themselves to absolutely get rid of everything around them and throw away as many things as they possibly can. They see videos and blog posts of people throwing away hundreds of trash bags full of items that they used to own and just slimming down to a house that is basically empty. But guys, I just want everybody out there to know that that is not how your minimalist journey needs to start. Not only are you putting a ton of pressure on yourself to throw away everything that you own, but you're also kind of straining your wallet and kind of limiting the freedom that you might have in the future. And look, here's the deal. I understand that the goal of decluttering is to kind of get rid of the things that you own and live almost a cheaper lifestyle. But in reality, if you declutter way too soon and then you realize that you actually need some of the items that you threw away, you then have to go and purchase those items all over again. And at that point, decluttering too soon is actually going to cost you money, which is the opposite of what most people are trying to accomplish by decluttering in the first place. And obviously that's something that we are going to try and avoid here in this video. So I'm going to give a few alternatives for you guys to possibly implement in your lives that could actually get rid of this need to declutter immediately. So above all else, you don't have to actually throw everything away. I know that's kind of a big deal in minimalist videos to put everything into a trash bag, toss it in the garbage bin, and act like you're feeling a lot better. But there are also things that you can do with those items instead of throwing them away forever. One of the best examples that I've seen of this in my own life is actually someone buying a storage locker, and they put almost everything that they owned into that storage locker. And they just left those items there for a few months, and over time, if they realized that they actually needed one of those items, they could just go back to the storage locker, grab it, bring it back to their house, and everything is fine. They don't have to purchase that item all over again, so they're not wasting any money. But here's the deal, they're still living with purpose and intentionality because all of those items are sitting in the storage locker, and after a set amount of time, maybe a few months, maybe even as long as a year, if anything is still sitting in that storage locker and over that time you never even once needed it, you know at that point that you can actually start throwing things away or giving things away or donating things. You just know at that point that those items aren't necessary anymore. This is a great example of a healthy minimalist lifestyle because you are actively looking for things in your life that provide you with value, but everything else, you're getting rid of it over time, and that's exactly what we want to pursue. And a storage locker is actually just one example of the many places that you can put all of your items. Maybe you find a friend's house who has some extra space, you put it there. Maybe you put it all into a basement. Maybe you find a random shed out in the woods and you dump all of your stuff there, and then you drive out there whenever you need something from that pile of stuff. Alright, so that last example might be a little bit extreme. You probably don't want to dump everything out in the woods, but what this does, actually leaving all of your stuff somewhere else where you can still access it, it gives you a little bit of extra security, knowing that your items aren't completely gone forever, and if you do need something, you just go and grab it. And again, that could save you money in the long term, which is another goal of this minimalist journey. And there we go. I hope you guys now know how to avoid this mistake of decluttering too soon. Not only does it put a lot of pressure onto you in the beginning of your journey, but it can also cost you a little bit of money. So anything that you can do to avoid this mistake at all costs, I'm glad that I could help you find it. And speaking of putting pressure on yourself, another mistake that a lot of people make when they're just getting into minimalism is thinking that being a minimalist is a competition. Just because you know somebody who can fit everything that they own into a single duffel bag doesn't mean that you have to do the exact same thing, or that you need to fit all of your stuff into a smaller duffel bag. It doesn't work like that. That's not how the minimalist journey is, and you don't have to pressure yourself into trying to compete with other minimalists. Something that I've found in my time practicing minimalism is that a lot of people think that they can actively beat other minimalists or be a better minimalist than other people, and I just don't think that that's how any of this works. I think that what you should really just do is try to focus on your own values, live with purpose, live with intentionality in your own life. And just because somebody else may be doing things differently than you doesn't mean that you need to compete with them in any way. So again, try not to focus on how your minimalist habits or routines stack up with someone else's. It doesn't really matter who is winning. That's not even something that should be taken into account with minimalism. And in the same vein, minimalism is also not a race. You're not competing against the clock to become a minimalist or get any type of thing done, and you shouldn't try to give yourself time constraints or time limits on something that you're trying to achieve through minimalism. Minimalism is not a sprint, it is a marathon, and that is one of the best metaphors that I can possibly give to you guys. It was something that was told to me a long time ago, and it has definitely stuck with me. Minimalism itself is a process. It takes time and energy and patience. So don't try to give yourself time constraints. Don't expect things to happen within a certain amount of time. Just continue focusing on, again, your own values, your own intentions, what you're trying to achieve with minimalism, and don't worry if it's not happening as fast as you want it to. And that actually brings me to the third minimalism mistake that I want to talk about on today's video. And this one is actually thinking that your house or apartment or condo or whatever your living space is needs to look like someone else's living space. I've seen this mistake happen a lot, specifically with people who follow minimalist YouTubers or minimalist influencers who routinely show off their empty, sleek, modern, and simple apartments that have nothing but a mattress on the floor, a chair, and then like a plant in the corner. And people see these super cool apartments and they think that if they want to be a minimalist, their apartment needs to look the exact same way. But honestly, that is a mistake. That is something that we really want to avoid. Again, this is going to put a lot of pressure on you right at the beginning of your minimalist journey to make your apartment look like somebody else's apartment, and that's just a mentality that we don't want to practice. A lot of people try to make their apartments look as minimalist as they possibly can, but they're never really satisfied, and they always think that they can cut down on more things or make even more changes to get rid of more things, and it's just this unhealthy obsession with cutting down on the things around you. And here's my advice. Everybody's apartment or house or condo is going to look different, especially if you're trying to live with as much intentionality as you can, because minimalism is just different for every single person. So it's totally okay if your apartment looks different from other people's apartments. Over time, I can promise you guys that the longer you practice minimalism, the more your apartment is going to look like one of those really cool and simple apartments, but it doesn't have to happen quickly, and you don't need it to look exactly like somebody else's. Make it look exactly like your own. Make it yours, and other people are going to think that that's really, really cool and amazing, and I just really want everybody out there to avoid this mindset of trying to be like other people. Focus on making your apartment or house or condo work for you. And that brings me to the final minimalist mistake of today's video, and this one is actually going to be probably the most prevalent out of all of them, but also the worst out of all of them. A lot of people, when they are just starting out in minimalism, they expect immediate results. A lot of people are told that minimalism is going to make them happy, bring them enjoyment, save them money, and just make their lives overall better. And a lot of people think that that's going to happen right away, when in reality, it might not happen right away. It may take a long time, or it may not even happen at all for you. So just don't go into this journey and this process expecting things to fall into place right away. And again, this mistake really stems from influencers who only tell their audience about the positive benefits of minimalism in general, but they don't necessarily show the struggles or hardships that they had to go through to achieve those benefits. And that mindset of expecting minimalism to bring all of these positive benefits into your life right away is something that is a little difficult to avoid. So I'm just going to give you guys my best advice right now in this video on how to kind of move forward without putting all of that pressure on yourself to make results happen immediately. In my opinion, the best thing that you can do when you're just getting started in minimalism is to understand that you might really struggle. There might be things that you really don't enjoy, especially right at the start. And honestly, it's totally fine if you do go through that phase where it's not exactly enjoyable and you don't see all those positive benefits right away. I'm someone who wholeheartedly believes in the power of minimalism, and in truth, I really believe that minimalism is a positive thing and it can really help a lot of people accomplish amazing things in their life, but you might struggle with it right away. And don't get flustered. Don't think that you're already doing anything wrong. It's totally fine to feel that way, especially when you're just starting out, when you've never done this before, when this is your first time trying out minimalism as a lifestyle. And the next thing I would tell you is to remember why you got into minimalism in the first place. I'm sure you have a long-term goal in mind. Maybe it's saving some money and becoming financially independent. Maybe it's going on a trip one day in the future with the money that you're saving. Maybe it's just living a more healthy lifestyle that you enjoy a lot more. And just remember that. Keep that in the back of your mind, especially when you're having those hard days where nothing is really working out and you feel like minimalism was a mistake. And if you can do all of those things, I truly believe that you will be able to overcome the struggles that minimalism may present. And I really do believe that minimalism and the process of becoming more of a minimalist could be something that you really do enjoy for the rest of your life. But there you guys go. That just about wraps up this video. Those are the 4 minimalism mistakes that I wanted to talk about today. And I truly hope that after watching this video, you guys know that you can avoid those mistakes in the future, whether you're just starting out in minimalism or you've been doing this for a long time. And if you did enjoy this video, the best thing that you can do to support my channel is to turn that like button blue. It absolutely helps get this video pushed to more and more people, and in turn, that means it will help more and more people. So that's absolutely something that we're trying to get done. And also, don't forget to subscribe. If you enjoyed this video, you will no doubt enjoy every single video that I post on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So do not miss a single one of those uploads. Make sure you hit that subscribe button before you go. But with that, as always, I am hoping everybody out there is having an amazingly frugal day, and I will see you all again next time.